What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 30 of the Bullpen. And we have a very special guest, Alex. We consider Alex the coach of the United Football Media Group, and he hosts the Defender Show with Webb on here. You guys check that show out if you want inside Defender information. I don't know anything about DC Defenders because we're Brahmas. We're the Brahmas bullpen down here, and we don't worry about what goes on in DC in the cow pasture. So I brought in Alex to help me preview week one. Alex, introduce yourself, talk smack, whatever you want to do. Welcome to the bullpen.
Josh, thank you for having me. I watch you guys each week, and I feel like I'm a smarter fan Defenders fan, but I know more about the Brahmas watching you guys. But thank you for bringing me on. You guys do a heck of a job. We'll save the smack talk for later. But I look forward to learning more about the Brahmas today, and also look forward to sharing some information with you about the DC Defenders. And week one has a good ring to it, though, man. Week one, when you said it, it's here.
At the time of recording this, the teams have been cut down to the 50-man rosters, and we are 7 days, 1 week away. We're recording this on a Saturday. We're 1 week away from kickoff in Arlington, and then 1 day after that, we'll be down here in San Antonio in the Dome, beating up on DC, hopefully.
We're going to find out today. We're all undefeated right now. That's right. Everybody's happy.
So we're going to find out today. So this is week one preview, Sunday, March 31st, 12 p.m. on ESPN. If you can't be here, if you're a DC fan and you're watching this and you want to watch the game, ESPN on noon on Sunday, be there. What we're going to do is just kind of go through position groups. We'll have some graphics pulled up here in a little bit. And we'll just go down and I'll take a shot talking about the Brahmas position group. We'll let Alex give us a little information on their position group. And then, we'll just compare the two, and we'll throw a little score in there. Maybe, I don't know, Alex, you like a 1 to 10 or 1 to 5? What do you like?
Yeah, we can score them. Let's go 1 to 10, 10 being the best. 10. And then got to save some time at the end for a prediction. I want to hear your prediction. I want to hear it right from your mouth.
Let's do it. All right. Well, let's get it on. We're going to start off with the most important position on the field, the quarterback position. And since you are the guest, Alex, please grace us and go first. Also, because you probably have the better quarterback. But anyways, go. You go first.
I appreciate that. I like where we are at quarterback position. I think with Jordan Ta'amu, he's a returning starter from last year, a team that was 9-1 in the regular season, made it to the championship. We struggled a little bit early offensively, and then he seemed to catch his groove around game 3, game 4, and continually got better. I like the backups in Jared McClendon and Francois behind McClendon. So you may see a Derek King type package from one of those two guys. We don't know who number 2 will be, but we do know number 1's Ta'amu. I'd rate our overall quarterback room at a strong 8. I feel pretty good about that position coming into the season.
That's a very, I don't want to say humble, but I would say open-minded score. Maybe you didn't just give yourself a 10, even though you had Jordan Ta'amu, who's definitely one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the XFL. I remember watching him last year where he did struggle a little bit, but having Francois to come in and change the pace of the game, that's critical, man. And so I appreciate that breakdown. Well, down here in San Antonio, of course, we got Quentin Dormandy, who played with Orlando. He is a Bernie guy, which if those that don't know, he played high school ball Bernie for a little bit. That's probably just about 20 minutes north of San Antonio, out I-10. So we consider him a local homegrown quarterback prospect. And then we got Chase Gabers, who we believe is going to be backup. In fact, a lot of people are debating who's going to start, who's going to back up between those two, which to me is a good thing because I came in the season once we got our cut down and we saw the 3 quarterbacks on our roster. I was like, okay, it's going to be Dormandy, but if we're hearing Gabers is going to give him some competition, to me, that's a good thing. He's a little bit more mobile quarterback. So maybe we'll have that one too. I personally don't like the 2 quarterbacks. Just give me one that I can watch all year. And if he struggles, put the other guy in, but we'll do what we have to do with this AJ Smith offense. We know we're going to be running the spread. So it's going to be awesome. I personally, because of not being super familiar, or Normandy not being super familiar with the AJ Smith offense and Gabers, first year in the system for both of them, I gave our quarterback room a 6, and I think just slightly above average, but not too high.
Okay. No, I think it's fair. I mean, what I saw of Dormany last year, I liked him. But of course, to your point, he's got to settle into that offense. And I will zig on you here a little bit like I told Webb. I kind of like having that second quarterback to just put it on film, make the other defense have to prep for it. And to your point, you touched on it. You're changing the speed of the game a little bit. And then, the defense has to take time to prepare for it. So we'll see. But yeah, I think 6 is a very conservative breakdown and realistic. You're not using too much opium in your number there.
But don't give me too much credit yet. There's 10s coming later, so just be ready for it. But let's go on to the running backs, right? So the Brahmas running backs, we're solid at running back. One thing I will tell you with the Brahmas, I think all three of our running backs are almost carbon copies of each other. Sometimes you'll see the dual quarterback, dual running back in the backfield, your Thunder and Lightning. I think watching the highlight videos for Lovett, Aline, and McFarland, they're all scat backs. They're all to the edge, fast, good hands, receiving running backs. Now, definitely, those guys might not like it because every running back takes it as a source of pride that they can run up the middle. But if you go and search highlights for all three of those guys, 70% of the highlights you see are
on the edge,
wing passes on the edge or cutting up in the middle. They do that delayed release, where they stay back like they're going to block, but then they'll roll out as soon as they get a chance. So all three of our guys have solid hands, and they're fast, man. Every one of them's fast. I gave our running back squad 7.
Nice. Okay.
Just because I truly do think between Lovett and Aline, you're not going to get a ton of rushing yards. I don't expect to see 75 yards a game rushing, but I expect to see another 25 to 50 yards a game receiving out of our running backs, and I think both those guys can pull that off.
Yeah. End up being like long handoffs or like a toss when you're throwing it to them coming out of the backfield, so it still counts. But from our standpoint, obviously, losing Abram Smith really hurt. XFL's leading rusher from last year, I think he was averaging close to 6 yards a carry, or 5 yards, over 5 yards a carry last year, and that one hurt. But, fortunately, that room's pretty deep. So I look for Cameron Harris to become the feature back. And then it's kind of a toss-up between Darius Higgins and then Puka Williams. I think, Darius Higgins will probably be the number 2. And our backs are a little different in that, you said your guys are more on the edge. Puka's more on the edge. Our guys are more between the tackles, between Higgins and Cameron. So I look for it to be similar to last year with Cameron Harris taking the majority of carries like Abram Smith, and then Higgins being our right Paul Armstead that comes in to take the other carries. Obviously, when you lose a guy like Abram, you can't give 7 and 8. This is a very unproven room. I'm going to go with a 6 for our running backs, but hopeful and confident by the end of the year that number would be much higher.
Fair score. Just from what you know of the situation, do you think Abram has a chance to come back? Or are we thinking he's out for this season?
I think it's it. I think that's it for the season. I think if you look at when it happened and then the rehab and everything, and then I would say it'd be very hard for him to make it back. They do have him on the reserve list, but I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, that's a tough guy to lose for the year. So, and even though we're opposing teams, I don't think anybody ever wants to beat someone half strength, right? So, wish him a speedy recovery and hope that goes well. Well, why don't you go ahead and lead us into some more offensive guys? Let's talk wide receivers. What do you got on wideouts?
We got a brand new core, man. Everybody across the board for us is new. So there's some talent there. Kiki Kute, I think is interesting. Coming up, a pickup coming into camp. Really like Chris Rowland too. So he's an ex-Philadelphia star. Was injured a large part of last year. USFL guy. I know the defender coaches are really high on him. So they're the top 2. But I mean, we lost Blair and we lost Jackson to the NFL. Hammond retired. So, losing him hurt. But, so it's an unproven group. So I'm going to go with a 5. I think there's some talent there. But I think until I see it, I'll say a 5.
So you're not coming at me like a Webb and just saying DC is the best football team in the history of the planet. So that's good. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Down here in the Brahmas, I'll say with our offensive style, as long as you can catch the ball and you got some speed to you, you're going to be good. So we got KD Cannon and John Trey Kirkland, which I think are going to be 2 of our our premier guys. Also, Justin Smith. Kirkland is a little bit quicker, but Katie Cannon is got the size for the end zone. He's got that throw the ball to the corner type size, go up and get at the ball, whereas Kirkland's got that speed and crisp route running. And then, we lost who many thought was going to be one of our top slot guys in Turner, was just recently released, getting down to the 50-man cut. But we got my guy Landon Akers, San Antonio favorite. He was with the Brahmas last year, then got signed by Houston, then with the merger came back to San Antonio. So AJ Smith, who was with Phillips in Houston last year, they know exactly what they're getting with that guy. So I think he's going to be probably on the field for 70% of our snaps, and San Antonio loves him. I really do think our starting wideouts are a solid 6 or 7 out of 10, but I'm scoring them an 8. I'm gonna give them 1 point. I'm gonna give them 1 point solely based upon offensive style. Like I don't think people give enough credit to the type of offense that these guys are running that lead into people might call them system wide receivers or system running backs or system quarterbacks, and people might take that as an insult. I can be good at any system, but realistically, when you're analyzing these teams, I think just being in this AJ Smith spread, what they call the Mike Leach, in honor of Mike Leach, true air raid offense, they're going to get a point for that. So I did give them an 8, but we do got some experience and good hands. So
yeah, I got it. Hey, and this system stats still count. You're talking to a legacy run and shoot guy, an old school guy that count.
There you go.
He threw for 500 yards a game and 4 touchdowns, but it's a running sheet. It's like, what the heck? It still counts. It's still 500 yards, 4 touchdowns.
That's it. Anyway. That's coach. That's the coach coming out. That's why we call you the coach, Alex, here for the UFM. Keep us all in check, man. It still takes the talent. Well, let's go to the next position group. That kind of we're going to do all the offensive first. We're going to go to tight ends, and I'm going to just talk real briefly, because all I got to say is Cody Latimer and Elise Mack, number 1 and number 3 rated tight end by PFFN for last year in the XFL. They're coming together. Latimer is basically a hybrid wide receiver, and Elise Mack is not only got good hands, but he's a big dude. I've actually stood like next to him. And let me tell you, this dude is a mountain of a man. Like literally, if you took a wide receiver and an old lineman and joined them together, that's who you would get. You'd get Elise Mack. So it's one of the position groups that I rated us a 10, but it's because I gave them a 10. It's because they're two of the top 3 returning tight ends from the XFL last year, and they're on the same team. Plus, you factor in the history Latimer has with Wade Phillips.
Okay,
that's the reason he's here. He literally, the second the San Antonio Brahmas announced Wade Phillips is the new coach, there was Latimer hitting him up on X like, "Call me, coach. I'm ready." And I just think that they're going to continue that great success they've had in the past. Plus, if Dormady is the quarterback, Latimer was his security blanket last season in the XFL, and in a tight end position, he was number 2 in overall receiving for the XFL last year, just behind Jakir Pearson. And so, I don't know what better of a system could come into place to put these tight ends and set them up for success here in San Antonio.
That's fair. We're a little different at tight end. Our leading tight end from last year, Ethan Wolf, is gone. But we are bringing back Brawley Moore and Alex Ellis from last year's team. We picked up Caden Smith, who was with the New York Giants for a while. And actually, Redskins fans will remember he caught the winning touchdown against them a few years ago, one of 2 touchdowns that he caught. But when I look at our tight end room, I gave us a solid 6 again. I think when you're losing your leading tight end, I think it's kind of hard to say we're going to be much more than higher than a 6. But Brawley Moore contributed a lot of snaps. And Ellis was kind of this red zone tight end. I think he had 4 touchdowns last year for us, so he was a good target when we got into the red zone. And then I think anytime you pick up an NFL guy like Caden Smith, it's not so dire that we lost Wolf. Solid 6.
Yeah. I know that just to dig in a little bit. I know that last year it kind of fell with Abram in the backfield. It was definitely run to set up the throw, and the tight ends were
Yeah.
more of a red zone option. Do you think that the tight ends or what do you think is going to be? Do you think they're going to be still just a red zone option down there, not so much, but between the 20s?
Yeah, I don't see the offense changing a lot. And I think, in Kai's offense, there's a lot of, distribution to different guys. I'm not so sure if it was like, and again, I'm not in the offensive, game, the game plan and in the rooms as you're preparing. So I don't think it's so much they look for the tight ends in the red zone. Sometimes it just kind of happens that way.
Yeah.
I will say we'll probably be a good mix of RPO. Tiama runs that really, really well. And I think that's going to continue to be a big part of the offense. They'll have to adjust a little bit with Abram out, but hopefully Cameron can kind of fit in there and we can kind of continue. Offense was pretty good last year after game 2. Around game 3, they started to pick up and get going, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I just wrote down watch for the RPO, and I'm texting that to Wade Phillips
There
because
you go. You'll see
yeah,
it
right. Like he doesn't know that already, right? All right. So we got all the skill groups out of the way. Let's give the big boys some love, and I believe it is your turn to go first. So talk to me about your O line.
I'll do it. Are we going to do them in a group, or do you want to go by tackle, guard, center?
I think we just do it as a group. Let's just go O line in general and highlight the 2 or 3 guys you think are the best, and give us a little info on them.
Yeah, that's great. So if we look at sort of the tackles and the guards, there's 6 total that they have grouped in there. And we have 4 guys listed at tackle, but 2 of those, Durant and Tommy Champion, there's a lot of versatility. Guys can play inside or outside. They can play both right tackle and left tackle. So, we only kept 6 linemen, right? We kept 2 centers and then, we 8. So 2 centers, 2 guards, 4 tackles. But of the 4 tackles, they're interchangeable. They can play inside or out. So, we returned, I think from an offensive line standpoint, 3 starters. I gave us a 7 as an offensive line because we did lose Murphy. We did lose Ryan. So, last year, losing, 5 or 2 of your 5 starters is going to hurt. But what we're bringing back in terms of Hayes at tackle, he's a big guy, a true tackle. We just had him on our show last week. Great interview. We're solid at guard with Fornadell and DeLonch. And then at center, we have Mike Maedi. So, we're pretty tough. A lot of snaps in there with Maedi and Fornadell and Hayes. So it's not like we're starting from scratch early. And I think it gives us an advantage. We see this in spring leagues. The last thing to really gel is the offensive line. So bringing back 3 of 5 starters is actually a good thing for us. But, I think we did lose 2 key pieces there. So I think I said a 7. I'll stick by that.
Okay. That's a solid score. I would point out our starting left tackle last year, a friend of the show and a lifetime member of the Brahma bullpen, Chidi Okiki, was released when Phillips took over. He was one of the few bright spots on the Brahmas O-line last year. So he went to DC and unfortunately didn't make the squad there. So just on that piece of information, I think you guys definitely have some solid O-line play to come in this year. Down here in San Antonio, if we had our exact O-line last year, I probably would have rated us literally a 3 or 4. And I'm the biggest homer, right? You're going to find, but I mean, we were struggling at O-line last year, but I'm bumping the score to a 7 because 3 of our O-line starters this year are starters that played in Houston. So we got John Yarborough, we got Alex Millette, friend of the show, Alex Millette, a lifetime member of the Brahma bullpen as well. And then we got Rashad Coward. All 3 of those guys started on the O-line. Millette was center. Coward played tackle. Yarborough did a little bit of everything wherever he was needed, but played a lot of guard. Seemed to be pretty successful at the guard position last year. He's also probably going to be our backup center. So I just think that if they could fill in those other 2 spots, we got Greg Elin, Cole Laveau, and Aaron Monterio, depending on which those guys kind of stepped up in practice and got that. So I gave us a 7, but it's based upon the fact that the Houston Roughnecks O-line last year worked well together and they're bringing that continuity with them, right? So that's the number one with. And I do think we have the best center in the league. He was the number 1 center scored by PFF last year in the XFL. And I think definitely in our conference, he's going to be top center. Plus he likes, what kind of O-lineman would he be if he didn't like to go hunting, go fishing, and drink beer, right? So I mean, he's like the prototype old lineman, right? So let's let that go. So
If he likes to take a dip, he's the complete package, isn't he?
hey, I cannot speak to other habits that he has. Those are the three that he admitted to me when we interviewed him that one time. So, and I'm trying to coach him up on appropriate taco and Mexican food orders when he does get down here to San Antonio. I told him I got your back. I'll tell you where to go. Tell me what you want, and I'll find it for you. So,
I'll take
anyways.
you up on that too next time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, we already talked. We already talked offline a couple times. So yeah, I know you got good taste. You know what I mean? So, but let's go straight over. Let's go see who these old linemen are going to go up against in week one. Let's jump right into the D line. I believe it's my turn to go first, and I got bad news for the O line from DC.
Let's hear it.
Delonte Scott, who led the league in sacks last year, is probably, if he's not the best edge rusher in our conference, he's going to be top two, at worst third, depending on if he winds up getting double teamed or not. We got two guys coming, young guys in the middle, Kavion Patton and Prince Emili. If those guys can play the nose tackle, because we run the 3-4, if those guys can play the nose tackle and get those doubles from the center and the guard so that either one of our edge rushers are not constantly just getting beat up. We had a big signing this week. I believe he was cut from DC. Tim Ward, is that?
Yeah, he was an edge rusher for us. That says a lot about how good we are at the edge. But keep going.
Yes, I'll give you that. I'm not going to take that away from you. You bring that up later. But he played in Houston last year with Phillips, so he wasn't on the waiver wire very long at all. He was snatched up, and I think he's just going to do wonders on the other edge. You know, we had a gentleman by the name of Drew Beasley who was the second-rated overall defensive player by PFF out of the XFL, and he didn't make the roster. And now we got Tim Ward to kind of go on that other edge there. So I think as long as one of our young DTs can step up in the middle, our three-man line is going to be pretty epic. So I went ahead and gave them a score of 6. And pretty much that's just because I know the edges are going to be money, but I don't know what's going to happen in the middle.
Got it. So we're going to do edge and middle?
Sure. I'm sorry. That's just, I gave it an overall score, but I was just telling that's why my reasoning was based upon the two.
It's your show, man. I mean, you're the hey, wait for this one, Josh. You're the web of this show, right? So you're the web. I'm just here to play along. But no, I hear you. We're good up front. I like Joe Wallace from Sam Houston. So shout out to the Bearcat fans watching in Texas. Really liked his game. He's disruptive in the middle at nose tackle. Makes a lot of positive things happen for us. And then we picked up TJ Barnes from Arlington in the offseason. Yes, he's a pro. He's a veteran. So kind of like what you were saying about like the cuts. When I look at our cuts on defense and the talent that they've let go, that tells me that we're pretty stacked, probably like you feel about the Brahmas. I think when we talk about edge, we picked up Trenton Harris from Houston, leading sack leader in the XFL. Now you got him. You got Davin Bellamy, Andre Mintz, Malik Fisher, Derek Roberson. You've got guys coming off that edge. And, we'll play the 3-4. We'll go a little even front, show you 4-3. And they're going to bring it from everywhere, especially second and third down. That's why we kept so many corners. These corners they're put on an island and they have to play man to man. But, I think especially early in the year when the defense is a little bit ahead of the offense, I think that the fact that we're bringing all these guys back that were in Williams' system last year, that's going to help because he does a lot of things. So, I mean, it's a complicated system, a lot of looks, a lot of blitzes. The continuity is going to help, but then the addition of a guy like Harris and you bring him into an already deep room. We're really good at linebacker. I know we'll get there next. We're going to be tough. We're going to be tough to handle. I think in our game, first team to 3 may win.
Hey, I don't know. That's one of the things I kept telling everybody. I really do think our offense is going to score some points. And so I don't know if we can give them time. I think it's going to be. I don't think that the score is going to be as low as everyone's predicting, but we'll see what happens.
If I had 8 reindeer, a sled and a beard, I'd be Santa Claus. I don't think he's going to halftime. I think Dorman's going to be counting the rafters in that dome for most of next Easter
Okay.
Sunday. He's going to be praying.
Okay, well, I'll be calling you Chris Kingle. I'll be calling Chris. What's his name? Chris. What's Santa Claus's name? Chris Crinkle.
Chris Kringle. Yeah.
I'll be calling you Chris Kringle once we drop that 30 points on you guys in week 1. But we'll let the players do the talking, not us. Okay.
Love it.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're gonna go into the next position group. I lost track of whose turn it is, so I'll let you go first, just because I think that's where we're at. And let's talk linebackers. Let's talk.
Yeah. Appreciate it. So Reggie Northrup, Francis Bernard, we returned 2 really good linebackers. A guy that I'm interested in, Momo Sanago, who's from Louisville. He made the team. He was a draft pick that stuck with us. We have Anthony Hines coming back. So a lot of snaps in there. Gardner is coming back. A lot of guys who played last year. Again, the continuity of being in Greg Williams' system. And they brought in linebackers that didn't stick. So that tells me they're very happy with what they've got. What they were able to, hang on to. But I feel very good about the linebacker. I feel very good about the defense in general, just because we saw what they were able to do last year, and the fact that the large core of that defense, the majority of them are back. All we did was supplement with additional talent. So yeah. I give this group, I don't think I rated our edge rushers and our defensive line. I'd go with those guys.
Throw those numbers out there. Throw them out.
8, and I'm going to give the linebackers an 8 too. I feel we're good there.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you follow the SA Brahma Bullpen on X or Instagram, or if you've watched any of our previous episodes, you'll understand. Everyone knows I'm enamored with our linebacking core, and Jordan Williams, who led the league in tackles and efficiency at the linebacker positions back this year. And then what did we do to improve? We got the 3rd best linebacker from Houston in this year. So we got Tavante Beckett and Jordan Williams, both of them playing those. We're playing a 3-4, so they're both going to be inside linebackers, and then on the outside they're gonna fluctuate. You might even see, and not even minding. I'm gonna give you a little tidbit. You're gonna see Delonte Scott not be on the D line sometimes, especially on those passing downs. He's gonna be way out there, standing up like an outside linebacker, trying to get that path to the quarterback, dipping that shoulder and getting around the edge over there. So you're going to definitely see that. But I do think our linebacker core is probably the best linebacker core in the XFL conference. I know the DC Defenders have a strong defense, but they weren't the number 1 rated defense in the league last year. That was the San Antonio Brahmas. And I think we're getting those skill players back in the positions, and then we just improved in the places where we may have struggled a little bit. If we have one more linebacker step up, I don't know if it's going to wind up being a Nate Weiland or Robert Barnes or Joel, if I pronounce it wrong, Liga Bunway.
Nice.
Either one of those guys find themselves as every down player. We'll have 0 holes at linebacker, so we're going to be tough there. I gave the linebacker core rating of an 8 overall, because depending on how they mix and match those edge rushers we got with the D linemen and move those front 7 around, it's going to be a solid defense. It's susceptible to the run, like the 3-4 sometimes can be susceptible to the run if those linebackers don't play gap sound. If they don't stay gap sound and make sure that they covering those gaps with just those 3 down linemen in there, a running back can hit those holes and get out. So, but I do think with our linebacker coach that we got going, and Wade Phillips, he ain't gonna stand for that. Those guys getting out of position too much, getting greedy. So, we're gonna have a strong defensive front 7 altogether.
You nailed it too up front when you were talking about the nose tackle earlier. Just a shout out to you as far as like general football knowledge. You're right about being able to force that double team. You know what I mean? If he's getting blown off the ball and the guys can get on the linebackers, I agree. The 3-4 is susceptible. You can start to run the ball and whatnot. But
it's big. It's big. Those NFL 330 pound nose tackles. We don't really have a guy of that size. Maybe if K'Von Patton, had a lot of pizza this offseason, maybe. I don't know. But last time I saw him at the fan event, he was looking pretty swole. So
Looking good.
he's looking good, man. And he played there at Texas State, so I got to watch him a little bit. He's local in the area, so he's going to be awesome. But for sake of time, let's kick it off. Let's go to the cornerbacks and safeties. I don't know if you want to do them separate or do them all together, but you decide, and I'll follow your lead. You're up.
I'm up. All right, we'll do them all together.
Awesome.
Love where we are at cornerback. Michael Joseph is back. DeJuan Neal is on the reserve list, so that's a hole to fill. But I think you've heard this probably from Webb. Garyon Conley and DeAndre Baker were both first round picks with NFL experience, and I think that they're going to add a lot to those corners in addition to bringing back the guys like Kelly and other talent that we brought back at corner. It's safety, we're loaded. So we picked up Deontay Anderson from the Vipers. We have Santos Ramirez, who's one of my favorites there. And then DJ Swearinger, who's an ex-NFL. He's an ex-Redskin, right? So they picked him up last year. There's a lot of talent back there at safety. Again, I'm kind of conservative with these. I'm a tough grader, so I'm going to say an 8 across the board. But we return a lot of guys. We picked up some good talent there. And like I said, we've got former first round draft picks in our defensive backfield. I think that kind of speaks to the level of talent that this group has. Solid 8.
Solid 8. Well, that's, I will tell you, I'm a little tired of hearing Webb talk about the draft position for y'all safeties and cornerbacks. He definitely brings it up every chance he gets. So we're going to see what happens. But yeah, you guys got a solid secondary. I think our secondary made significant improvements in the offseason. We picked up Bryce Thompson and AJ Hendy. They both Hendy plays safety. Thompson's a starting cornerback, and they both came with Wade Phillips from Houston, as probably half of our defense did. And then we got guys in the back like Quincy Williams and Jordan Mosley. I think they're going to be the key 4 players in our backfield. And then we have a guy named Corey Mayfield Jr. down here in UTSA, played for UTSA, great stats, 4-year starter. Maybe if he can get in there and play that nickel, and if he's the same level player transitioning from college to the UFL, we're going to be stacked. I gave our secondary a solid 7, but that's more because of the defense that they're going to be playing, and I really do think that Wade Phillips is going to have those guys doing what they need to do back there in the back end. With that, we're going to get into our last position group. Let's not leave out the very important special teams players. And I'm going to highlight Destroying. Of course, we got a great punter. Brad Wing from Australia was the Brahmas punter last year. He actually had the longest punt in XFL last year and also averaged the most yards per punt. Yards per punt average was the highest in the league. But we can't talk special teams without talking about Destroying. The rumor is he straight up won the kicking competition in practice, depending on who you talk to with Matt Amendola. So, he was a kicker in college. It's not like he's a YouTuber that doesn't play football. This guy's a football player, and he's swole, man. I don't know if you've seen any of those clips. That dude is in the gym. He's probably the most – I guarantee you he's benches more than any other kicker in the league, okay? I'm going to go out on a limb and be willing to wager that. And his leg strength is there. He's got the fluid motion. The Brahmas sought him out. They called him and said, hey, come try out. So they saw something in his videos and his film. And so, yeah, man, I think we're going to have, if not the best kicker in the league, we're going to definitely have the most talked about kicker in the league.
Yeah, no question. And he's never kicked.
Sorry. I rated him a 7. Sorry about that. I rated him a 7.
7. And he's never kicked in a pro game.
And he's only kicked in college, yes, sir.
Okay.
Depending on what college you go to, that could almost be the same atmosphere as a pro game, in my opinion.
That's fair. Wasn't trying to hit a nerve there. Wasn't trying to hit a nerve. No, I hear you. It's a great story. Personally, I like John Parker Romo. I was pulling for him. Had a good year last year. He did miss that kick against us, but I won't bring that up because that's probably a
missed the playoffs by 1 kick.
Yeah. But yeah, that's true. Hey, you know what? That's funny too. Before I break down these kickers really quickly, think about it. We ended up losing to Arlington in the championship game. What if Romo hits that kick? We finish 8-2 in the regular season, make it to the championship, and play you guys instead of Arlington. Possibly. It's weird how that stuff works out. But you guys might have beaten us too. Who knows? But I like our kicking game. Matt McCrane is back. Paxton Brooks, punter out of Tennessee, we picked up. He's going to be handling the punting duties for us, replacing Daniel Whalen, who ended up with the Green Bay Packers. So I feel pretty good about where we are. We're solid 7. And, I will say this, not to sort of take away the thunder from my preview, but special teams could come up big. First game of the year, right? First game of the year. And, special teams and offense can be a little bit behind, and a mistake in special teams can kill you. Or a big play in special teams can make the difference in the game. So keep an eye on this group, both sides. Let's see what happens.
So I don't know if you have your average. So with all the numbers that I went through right now, I've averaged it out, and I gave the Brahmas roster average score is a 7.5 on the button.
Hell, I have no idea. I just kind of made it up as I was going.
You're definitely probably around that 7 to 8. Just doing it in my head. In fact, producer, go back, add up all the numbers, and throw Alex's average up there. Why not? Yeah. You ain't got nothing else to do, right? So we'll maybe right now your average is popped up there. But the Brahmas roster average 7.5. So we're getting close to the end of the episode here. Once again, I'm a South Texas guy. We definitely like to show hospitality when you visit the cow pasture. We want to say thank you for coming, and we're going to give you first dibs. Let's have that game prediction. Week 1, DC versus San Antonio here in the Dome.
You got it. Well, thanks for having me. This was fun. Like I said, enjoy your show. It was great to be here. And then here's where it starts to get ugly. I got a feeling. I like us. I'm going to say I like DC, and I know the scores in the old XFL were a little bit odd because of the extra point variations 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to end with that continuing in the UFL. I'm going to call it 22-18 DC. I don't see an offensive game at all. I think both offenses are going to be slow out of the gate. Both of these defenses have a chance to be dominant outside of game 1. And I just think it's going to be a slugfest. And, last year, we scored late to take the lead. You guys missed a field goal to win. So I think the Dome is going to definitely be a tough environment for us. I think it'll be a good crowd there. And San Antonio folks love their football. So I think you have a good home field advantage. I'm going to go with 22-18, and I think it's going to be a slugfest.
That's a great score. So my prediction is based upon a little bit of Brahmas history. So I am going to go with 24-22. I think 22 is what you guys are going to score. I like that score of 22 points. Mm-hmm. I definitely think we're going to see the 2-point conversions coming into play. But what I think is going to happen, y'all are going. I believe DC is going to be winning in the fourth quarter. I believe the score is going to be 22-21. I think the 21 will not be just 7-7-7. I think there'll be the 2-point conversions coming in play, 3-point conversion coming in play, and I think the Brahmas are going to keep the ball in the fourth quarter down by 1. And I think the storybook ending is going to be nailing a field goal from about 45 yards. To take the win 24-22 in the Dome and start the legend of destroying and change everybody's predictions for the season about the Brahmas. I think that the game is bigger for the Brahmas than DC, because if DC loses this game, people are still going to view them as one of the top 2 teams in the XFL conference regardless. Mm-hmm. But if the Brahmas win this game, we are going to be immediately out of the basement and into the let's say living room, maybe not the penthouse, but I think we'll definitely get out of the basement in the prediction and the talking heads and the YouTube videos, video makers, and all the people that actually don't matter, and get people talking about the Brahmas, get people talking about destroying. And I think it would be the best outcome for the league. Perfectly honest with you, I think destroying, making a game-winning field goal, not to hate it on DC, but actually probably be the best thing overall for the league in general for the season. And not that I believe in conspiracy theories, but I definitely believe it wouldn't upset anybody if that happens.
It upset me. I hope he shanks the damn thing. If he goes in for the game-winning field goal, I hope he kicks it in the third row or here of the sidelines. Would be fine with me.
Other than the DC people, The other 7 teams, I think, will be happy with it, and some of the executives. Sorry, I'll put caveat on that. Coach Alex, I appreciate you jumping in on the bullpen with us. Thank you for previewing the game. I hope some of our San Antonio specific audience has a little bit more information that you share with them on DC. So we thank you for that. And, we always sign out with a horns forward. I know that's probably going to be hard for you. So I'm going to say we're going to call it episode horns forward. Let's go Brahmas, baby. And go ahead and end it with defend or something. I don't know what you guys say.
Hey, shields up, baby. Let's go.
That's pretty corny. Horns forward.